Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Working Crass Podcast. This is Lauren.
Hola.
And I'm Joshua. Hola, papi. and if you hear any sounds in the background, that's because this is a balcony episode today. We're on a balcony out here in Chicago, Illinois. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. You might be a little cold, but I feel great.
It's a nice chilly day.
I think it's a nice hot day.
It's the perfect day for a sweater or your flannels.
It's the perfect day for a podcast. It's a perfect podcast day.
Well, it is the day after 9/11, so that is a perfect day for a podcast.
A lot of things have happened since our last podcast. First, the Queen died.
Yeah,
The Queen died. But not to worry, there will be a new Queen, right? As soon as the Prince births his royal sack, and then the Pope has to bless the royal sack, and then from the royal sack will emerge the new Queen. That's how it works, right?
And Meghan Markle will have to prove that the new queen is also
Racist.
adherent to the anti-racist ideology.
She's like, I can already tell from the birthing sack that she is a racist.
Not anti-racist.
Oh, man. But that's how it works, right? A new queen comes from the royal
sack. Smoke comes out of the chimney, and it's like if it's white smoke, it's a new queen. If it's black smoke, it's not a new queen.
Also racist. Also a racist. A racist
yeah.
policy by the parliament there. But so again, we'll have a new queen when she comes out of the royal sack, and the Pope blesses it with children come. I think child come.
Yeah.
The Pope blesses the sack with child come, and then out emerges a new queen. She says
he sprinkles it like.
Yes. And she goes, Domine es Deus. She gives the royal speech.
In tongues.
And her eyes turn red. And she goes, Hail Satan. And then she's the new queen.
And the skies open and a red swirling vortex to a parallel dimension emerges.
And the British people all over look up in the sky and go, what's that now? Not to bother. No worries.
Don't ask questions if you don't want to know the answer.
I won't ask questions. Just let it happen. If the fire is in the sky, I will go about my day. But also 9/11 happened in our absence since our last podcast. I mean, not the 9/11. Not the 9/11. The most eventful 9/11 happened back in 2001. We've had a lot of 9/11 since. None of them quite match the tenacity of that original 9/11 though.
Yeah.
I remember my birthday, September 14th in 2001, I turned 10 years old, and I was so excited to turn 10, and everyone was so busy watching the news and trying to determine if we're going to go to war over the original 9/11, and no one paid attention for my birthday. I was like, I'm 10 years old, and they said, shut up, faggot. That was their actual response to me on my 10-year birthday.
I mean, that is a Texas response. Honestly,
when it's your son's birthday in Texas, you tell him, shut up, faggot. It's a 10-year birthday tradition.
But honestly, John Hughes should make a movie about
me?
About people forgetting your birthday because of 9/11.
Yeah. It really sucked. That was the worst thing about 9/11.
Yeah, for sure.
That my parents...
Lack of acknowledgement that it's your birthday.
Yeah. It was my 10th birthday. That's an important one.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did for your 10th birthday?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me, do I remember what I did for 9/11?
Do you remember how you celebrated?
Well, do I remember what I did for my 10th birthday?
No, where were you on 9/11?
Where was I on 9/11?
Mm-hmm. Because I need to know, because I heard the Jews did 9/11, and you're one of them, so...
Well, I wasn't in the building, so...
Oh, man. Well, on this podcast, we just talk about the horse shit going on in the world and in our lives, whether it's 9/11 and forgetting your son's birthday, or whether it's the Queen being birthed from her royal sack. But today, some of the stories that we have, I think, are going to total out to, we have a really fast food activism themed day today.
Yeah.
I have 3 different stories about activism revolving around fast food. And that's, I would say, the most important area of American culture that needs some activism in it is fast food.
Yeah, because when you're clogging your arteries full of trans fats and...
Don't say trans.
Well, All right.
That's a new rule on this
Gender
podcast.
non-conforming fats. When you're clogging your arteries full of that and, pumping diabetes into your veins, I think you really should be thinking about how your consumption is contributing to injustices and inequalities in the world.
I think so, too. And
whether or not the companies that you're buying those foods, are they killing you, but also are they
killing others?
Are they killing others? Are they being socially just? If they're socially just, then they can kill you, and it's perfectly okay.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if let's say McDonald's hypothetically is making you fat and giving you heart disease and you're going to die, that's not a problem as long as they're anti-racist.
Exactly. That's what I've always said.
Nothing's a problem as long as you're anti-racist.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with this one. I really like this one. Nope, let's actually start with another one. This one you sent me. This is from the Tennessee Star, and it is PETA activists cement themselves to Nashville Starbucks driveway to protest vegan milk upcharge. So these PETA activists are mad that the vegan milk choices cost more than the normal milk choice. I was reading through this earlier, and it's things like, oat milk or
your nut milks
and stuff, which, I'm pretty sure those cost more to make, and that's why they're a little more expensive.
Because they're a little more labor intensive.
Yeah.
The product inputs may cost a little bit more.
Well, also, Starbucks has to buy those products from someone else. And if you ever go to a grocery store, you'll also notice that grocery stores also charge more for these milks than normal milk. And pretty much anywhere that sells milks will also charge you more for these milks.
Yes.
But here's the problem. This is Starbucks, Lauren. Starbucks is where activists are bred and born, okay? If all Starbucks were to go out of business tomorrow, there would be no more Antifa. Because they call each other and go, where do you want to meet? And they go, I don't know. I don't know anymore.
I just assumed all employees of Starbucks are Antifa members.
Oh, it's on the application.
Yeah.
Are you in Antifa, yes or no? If the answer's no, application goes straight in the trash.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to get along with anyone. It's not about, it's not that the corporation of Starbucks wants you to be an Antifa. It's just like you're not going to get along with your coworkers if you're not an Antifa.
Exactly.
Have you ever been to a Starbucks?
I've been to a Starbucks.
We've been to plenty of Starbucks. You're not going to get along with those employees unless you're in some kind of activist group. Am I right?
I mean, I would concur with that observation.
I dated a girl who worked at a Starbucks, and now she's a man.
Well, that makes sense because I think that's also on the application. Would
Yeah.
you be willing to consider changing your gender?
For Starbucks.
Mm-hmm. And if you say no, then that goes straight into the shredder.
Right into the can. Everyone, that's how you can be open-minded, is you have to actually be willing to change your gender. You don't have to be accepting of others that do change their gender. That's like low level.
Yeah.
You need to be willing to change your own gender.
Exactly.
That's how you can be an ally.
Yep.
Anyway. So the milk, obviously, the vegan milk options are a little more expensive for Starbucks, so it means they're a little more expensive for the customers. But PETA is not going to stand for it. And I'm not just talking about some guy named Peter, and I'm calling him PETA. I'm talking about the organization PETA, P-E-T-A.
Oh, you're just not using the British pronunciation?
PETA.
PETA.
PETA went to a Starbucks, and he's angry. So we got some pictures here. One tweet read, PETA supporters have cemented themselves to a Starbucks driveway in Nashville to stand firm against the company's vegan milk upcharge, which hurts cows, the planet, and customers who are lactose intolerant, and they're not going anywhere. This hurts the cows. That's the thing, is because these cows like to go to Starbucks, and they don't have a lot of money. As you know, cows are kind of lower on the socioeconomic.
Exactly. And cows, if there's one thing we know about cows, it's they're the largest consumer bracket for nut milks.
This hurts the cows.
They have 4 stomachs that they got to fill with nut milks. So...
Look, the ingredients that you desire at Starbucks cost more. That's why you're paying more for them. It's like this is an attack on vegans. It's like, end the vegan Starbucks, end the vegan upcharge. Why is it more expensive for this nut milk that they have to individually milk each nut?
Well, you have to get the little tiny stools.
Yeah.
And you have to find little teeny people with teeny tiny hands to milk those tiny little nut nipples.
It's really hard to find the nipple on an almond. Go try.
They're very small.
If you have almonds at home, go try to find the nipple. It's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Can you milk it? Yes, but try and you'll learn it's very hard.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you need a skilled labor force, and you have to pay more to have, the right people in place who can spot those nipples.
Yeah. Absolutely. You need nipple spotters. And you got to pay those nipple spotters.
And they got to have tiny hands.
They have to have itty bitty hands.
I
work as a nipple spotter in the almond mines. It is a hard job. I do not get paid much. But it puts a smile on my face. I know I make the vegan people happy at the Starbucks. It's also, I've heard that it's super unfriendly to the environment, like these milks, because they require a bunch of water. Like they require more water than any other.
Well, who needs water when you have nut milk? I mean,
yeah, that's right. That's
like,
true.
Come on, water schmatter. That's
Water
not like a
schmatter.
necessary resource.
Here is one of the tweets directly from PETA, and a little video it looks like here.
Hey everyone, we are here outside of the Nashville Starbucks.
Good. I'm glad they're
nice.
there.
We have activists who have encased themselves in cement, cemented themselves to the driveway and the exit to the drive-through here to protest the vegan milk upcharge. Starbucks is charging up to 90 cents extra for vegan milks, even though they claim to be a sustainable company, and their own report admits that they're...
Even though they claim to be a sustainable company, they're getting rid of these really unsustainable milks. I've seen plenty of articles about this, about how like those nut milks are like incredibly unsustainable. And now she's like, Starbucks says they're sustainable. Why wouldn't they have my milk? This is the funniest thing ever, because it really is. They don't have my milk.
Oh my God, where's my milk?
My milk would cost more.
But can we talk about this method of
cementing yourself to the entrance and to the driveway exit? So in case someone happens to find an entrance, they can't get out. And then they're cementing their feet.
A couple of things.
Yeah.
If I was in the area.
Yeah.
And I might be tempted to just run by some of these.
Push one over?
Yeah.
Because really, you just have to push the cement part. You just get down on the ground, push the cement, they fall over, and
they're not getting up.
Well, that's why they have their social media representative here. Who's going to pick them back up if they fall?
Also, doesn't it like...
It'd be great if a strong wind came and blew them all over at the same time. They're like, whoa.
Also, doesn't it like... encasing yourself in concrete, doesn't it like severely burn your skin?
Oh, I'm sure it's awful. They have to drill them out of the concrete. I'll show you in a minute.
So I don't...
Police.
How exactly does this hurt Starbucks? Doesn't this just hurt these protesters?
Because by hurting my feet, it hurts Starbucks. Starbucks feels my feet's pains.
This will make Starbucks cave into my demands if I hurt myself.
My feet hurt, and so Starbucks must do something. Wait, let's see what else she has to say here. This is almost over.
That dairy is their biggest contributor to the climate catastrophe.
I don't think that's true. I don't think the dairy is the biggest contributor to the... How does that work?
Well, because the cows...
The cows that produce the dairy, they emit the
methane, which then goes back into the atmosphere, trapping in the heat.
So does PETA think we should kill all those cows?
No, you can't kill the cows. Even though the cows are producing the methane that's trapping in...
We plug their butts.
We plug their butts.
That is the official PETA stance, is that we put butt plugs in these cows.
Well, they were actually testing those. They said if the cement works on our feet, we can take those same cement blocks and cork these cows' butts.
I see. Interesting. So, okay. So that's how it...
I think this was just an experiment.
Well, okay. So then in that case, dairy does hurt the environment. But So does nut milks and all of your vegan milks, and that's why they're more expensive. Another tweet by PETA read, "Hey, Starbucks, we're digging our heels in literally. The coffee chain's upcharge on vegan milks is bad for cows, bad for the planet, and bad for lactose intolerant customers. Our resolve will only harden like cement." That doesn't make sense. Does that make sense? Our resolve will only harden like cement.
Well, it's written poorly. There's some extra words and verbs in there.
And they're in PETA, so it's like that's what just
They
what
don't
it
need
is.
to know grammar. PETA doesn't need to know that. They don't need to know basic science. They don't really need to know anything other than how to like yell really loud and put their feet in concrete.
Now,
Can they stand for long periods of time? I think that's the requirement here.
Well, what do you think? She looks like she could stand for a while, but as soon as you push her over, and then they also have tied to their bodies the caution tape so no one can like enter between them either. I mean, look at this. That's their feet in cement right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then her shirt says, "Not your mom, not your milk." But I don't really understand what that means. Can you explain that to me?
She's like, "I'm not your mom, so the milk that comes out of these boobs is not for you."
And what does that have to do with upcharging the nut milk at Starbucks?
Oh, it didn't. She just chose to wear that shirt to make that point clear.
I'm not your mom, and it's not your milk. It's my milk, and you're going to charge me less for it.
Well, maybe that's what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of,
They want breast milk.
upcharging for nut milks, they should get all the ladies out there pumping the breast milks and putting that in Starbucks.
No. Because what that would require is those women getting pregnant, and we cannot have pregnant women. Do you still lactate if you get an abortion?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, hey.
I just said that matter of factly like I knew the answer.
Look, here's the thing. If you still lactate after getting an abortion, then Starbucks employees mostly, I mean, they have 10 abortions a week? Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of wasted breast milk. We might have to actually start, and you know what? That's cheap. That's free. If they're your employees, you can demand their breast milk easily, right?
I mean, I go up to the counter and I ask to get it straight from the spigot.
Can I get a couple squirts? I like to pinch it out myself, please.
And I will only drink the breast milk from a trans employee.
Oh, well, that's good.
Because I'm doing my part for society. Okay? That's equality.
Well, just so you know, breast milk from trans people comes out of their penises.
Exactly.
Here's another one. We won't stop digging in our heels until Starbucks drops the vegan upcharge.
So just to be clear, they're under arrest at this point.
So they're in violation of two different crimes. That's correct. Disorderly conduct and.
So here's a police officer arresting them.
They've advised they don't want them on. You'll refuse to leave the property.
Yeah.
So those are the two charges that you're in violation of right now.
Yep. So that's.
And that's my thing is any chance that we could have a conversation, we would be willing to maybe step out on your own.
Well, he's not stepping anywhere. He's encased in concrete.
Yeah. Why don't you come step over here?
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't. Psych.
Wow. So yes, they did all get arrested though. That's the good news. Breaking update, these activists had to be drilled out of the cement blocks they were stuck in at Starbucks. This is from PETA. So it's giving us a breaking update. The activists are actually stuck in that cement that they stepped in. Breaking update.
Breaking news, cement really sticks.
Oh my God. PETA supporters will stop at nothing to make sure Starbucks drops its hypocritical and unethical upcharge for vegan milk.
Why not just boycott Starbucks and just go shop at all the local hippy dippy places that are selling only vegan milks?
Because Starbucks is God. Starbucks is life. Starbucks is my everything. I'm telling you, if all Starbucks went out of business tomorrow, there would be no Antifa. And I mean that. That is where they are born and bred. Real quick, I guess, let's see them drilling, the police drilling them out of this cement block. Okay, ow, that hurts. Let's turn the sound off on that one. But wow, look at that.
Wow.
Oops, got your foot. Sorry. Oops, lost a toe. Sorry. End vegan milk upcharge. Think about, like, somewhere else in, what was this, Tennessee? Yeah. Somewhere else in Tennessee, someone's getting, like, stabbed to death and shot, and the police are busy removing these activists' feet from blocks.
Sorry, we
of
got
cement.
an asshole who encased himself in concrete, so can't respond to your shooting.
Sorry, we're a little busy here. Over. Well, great. Well, we
got a nut milk situation.
We got a bit of a nut milk situation here. Over. Oh, boy. Well, we got more fast food activism here.
All right. Well, I'm ready to hear more. I'm ready.
Now, so first Starbucks, but now Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Now, Chick-fil-A.
What's going on at Chick-fil-A's?
Well, I love Chick-fil-A, first of all. Let me say this. Sometimes I'll get Chick-fil-A at work, and people at work will be like, yeah, I don't get Chick-fil-A anymore because I'm gay and they hate me. And I'm like, they hate you?
You specifically?
Yeah. Like, they hate you specifically? That's strange. I don't know. That's very, very strange. It's like, also, they, like the people that work at this Chick-fil-A here in Chicago, the one that I went to, they hate you?
I'm pretty sure the person behind the counter was gay.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of gay people that work at Chick-fil-A. My brother and my sister both worked at Chick-fil-A. Not gay, but... Not gay, but they both work there. Anyway, Chick-fil-A says a tweet that seemed to refer to the black community was a poor choice of words. So Chick-fil-A...
All right, well, this might be spicy.
This is going to be a little spicy, and literally, because a Twitter user tweeted at the fast food chain on Friday. He said, grilled spicy deluxe, but still no spicy nuggets, ... Chick-fil-A, ... In direct response, the official Twitter account for Chick-fil-A responded, your community will be the first to know if spicy items are added onto the permanent menu, Don. Now, this was taken as, like, your community will be the first to know because the user on Twitter was black. But it turns out, as I read through this later, that Chick-fil-A has commonly used your community to refer to that specific Chick-fil-A location and the community around that location. But I do kind of like the idea that it was taken the wrong way. I do like the idea that Chick-fil-A was like, yo, trust me, if we get spicy nuggets, your community is going to be the first to know. You guys will be talking all about it around the hood, if you know what I mean.
We're going to be coming down to the south side and airdropping those nuggets right to your doors.
Trust me, if we announce spicy nuggets, you'll wake up from your sleep in the middle of the night and know about it.
Oh, man.
So anyway, while the initial tweet only had 6 replies, Chick-fil-A's response got more than 700 replies. Many Twitter users called out the account's decision to use the term your community, questioning whether it was targeting the identity of the user who appears to be black. What do you mean by your community? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, a tweet read. Another user wrote, your community? I'm going to need explanation for that comment. Our community wouldn't want to think that there was some racial undertones behind that. Which I love that it's like, people like this person, just a nobody on Twitter, just an absolute nobody on Twitter, which, by the way, if you're on Twitter, you're a nobody. Everybody on Twitter's a nobody. And this person goes, I'm going to need an explanation for that comment. Can you imagine telling a multi-million-dollar corporation that me, who works at like a Kinko's FedEx and like lives with his parents, I need an explanation for your actions. It's just so stupid. You need an explanation. Anyway, Chick, this ain't a good look. What you meant by that specifically, a user questioned in a tweet. I love this.
So this is like a your people kind of situation. And then they're all like, what do you mean, you people?
Exactly. That's correct. Well, although they use this, your community all the time. But that would be great if Chick-fil-A responded with, trust me, you people will find out about the spicy nuggets.
They just keep. They just keep. They just keep going harder.
Yeah, they keep going harder. They're like, if you want spicy nuggets, you people might have a little more luck at Popeyes, if you know what I mean. Maybe Chick-fil-A is not for you people.
They're just adding like wink emojis.
Oh, man. Many Twitter users responded laughing with laughing emojis too. So that's good. That's good. I'm glad that there's people out there. Nobody's because they're on Twitter, but they might. If you're one of those people who is on Twitter and you responded with a laughing emoji to this, you might be a fan of Working Crass podcast.
Your community might be a fan of Working Crass.
You people might like this podcast. Anyway, Chick-fil-A ended up putting out a tweet as apologizing. They said the response was a poor choice of words, but was not intended in any way to be insensitive or disrespectful, a spokesperson told Today in a statement. Oh, so this isn't a tweet. They went to the news and made a public statement. We often use the term community in a broader sense to talk about places where we operate restaurants and serve the surrounding community. I mean, this is just one of those non-stories where it's like, yeah, clearly they meant that. Like, it was clear from the beginning that that's what they meant. They shouldn't have to make a public statement about this. The anger is false. The anger isn't real. No one's actually angry. They saw something that they could potentially turn into a fake anger thing and did it, because that's what Twitter does, right?
And then the Chick-fil-A people started to crap their pants a little bit because they were like,
they're like, shit, we already fucked up with the gays. And those people hate us. We don't want to piss off these people too.
Shit, we said these people and those people. Oh, shit.
Shit, call the news. Call Today. Well, that's not the end of fast food activism, okay? Because we can't just stop with Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. We got to keep going. We got to go to Tilly's. Tilly's is my way of saying Chili's. The New York Post reports, woman claims she was arrested at airport for being too good looking. Now, this is at a Chili's in an airport. That's why I included this in here. But you sent this to me, and I believe it, okay? Because I'm good looking as hell, and I get arrested all the time. This is another one of these things where, like, clearly you could probably tell from the title where this is going. Like, she was arrested at the airport. She claims she was arrested because she's too good looking. So do you think that's truly the case, or do you think she just did something wrong?
No, I 100% believe her.
Well, let's see. So she is a 28-year-old. She left a Chili's Tex-Mex at Harry Reid International Airport, and she claimed she was being harassed because cops had never seen anyone as pretty as her. And that's
well, you know.
Yeah.
Chili's is known for being the go-to establishment of hot people.
Hot people are all over Chili's. Go to a local
Chili's. Look around at who's eating.
Yes.
They're 10s, 9s and 10s.
Try not to jerk off.
Yeah. It's going to be hard.
It's going to be really hard. You're going to be rock hard.
You walk in there, boing.
And the people that work at Chili's, when you walk in, they go, "Welcome to Chili's." You are going to get a boner. Let me find you a seat. Oh. But so she was eventually arrested by baggage claim, where an arrest report said she appeared intoxicated and was belligerent with others. So, of course,
also makes sense for a Chili's.
Also makes sense for a hot person. You know, when you're hot, you're allowed to be belligerent to others. You're allowed to just walk all over anyone you want.
Really? And it looks good when you do it.
Oh, it looks sexy when you do it. So here's some pictures of her, I guess, from her Facebook or whatever. And I mean, she's a good-looking girl, although, you know, I could tell that she's probably belligerent, maybe a little bit spoiled. She has that look about her. While being arrested, she threatened to spit on all the officers while saying that officers were perverts and are trying to rape her because they had never seen anyone as good-looking. So this sounds like a drunk girl. Does this not sound like just a drunk hot girl?
Well, the spitting on the officers, that was just an act of what a hot person would do. Like
she learned this from AOC, didn't she?
Yeah.
This is the AOC tactic, is like, you're doing something I don't like. It's because you think I'm hot. It's because you want to date me. Although this girl went a step further. She's like, because you want to rape me.
This is the don't hate me because you ain't me defense.
Yeah. Don't rape me because you ain't me. But no, I also saw that authorities learned that the young woman had another outstanding warrant from Las Vegas Municipal Court. It's unclear what these charges were.
Also for being hot.
So she's like, you're arresting me because I'm hot. And they're like, you have a warrant out for your arrest. She's like, yeah, because I was hot then and I'm hot now.
Well, I sent this article because it made me think of the one of the sketches that I wrote a little while ago that was about I wrote it as like attorneys for people who get arrested because they're hot. And so they're sexy attorneys.
Nice.
As the law offices of Strong and Packing.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, it
and
happens
so it made
a lot.
me think of that, and I was like, man, I was ahead of my time.
These hot people just get arrested left and right, huh?
Yep.
Had your
Police.
kids, had your wife if they're hot.
Mm-hmm.
Had your husband if he's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're raping everybody out here.
Mm-hmm. Sexy lives matter.
Hot lives matter.
Mm-hmm. Hot wives matter.
Yes, they do. Now, if you enjoy our podcast in any way whatsoever, then you might wonder how you can support us because, the last podcast, we said we needed more subscribers. We didn't get a whole lot this time around, so we're going to have to cancel the podcast pretty soon. And I don't want to do that. Do you want to do that?
If you do not subscribe to the Working Crass podcast, Josh and I will encase ourselves in concrete and stand outside your local fast food establishment until you subscribe.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. We will protest, and you won't be able to leave or enter unless you push us over. And so what's the best way to subscribe? Look up Working Crass Podcast on YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's where we have the video episodes of this podcast. Mm-hmm. And go ahead and subscribe. Yep. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah. And that's the best way you can support us. If you'd like to support us even further, go follow us on Instagram at Working Crass Pod. Mm-hmm. We've actually been a little bit, I guess, like shadow banned or something. Our account on Instagram has been restricted for a long, long time. Almost since episode 2.
I couldn't imagine why. Honestly, it's not like we talk about any hot button issues. We don't joke in a way that's
against the mainstream.
We're very politically correct, I think.
I would say so. I think we're child appropriate. We're a family friendly podcast.
We would never use the term your community on this podcast. That's no.
We prefer you people.
Exactly. Exactly.
But if you do listen to our podcast and you want to support us, our Instagram is probably getting hidden from you in some way. Go look up Working Crass Pod on Instagram and go follow us there. We have all of our links, every announcement about a new episode, any kind of event that we might try to plan or anything like that is going to happen on that Instagram page. But we can't promote any of the content because we've been disabled. I've tried to request them to review that and they will not, or they won't get back to me. So we're fucked.
Yeah. You need to check it out before they take us away and send us to the gulags.
I would like to monetize some of this content, and our best chance of doing that is on YouTube. Go subscribe to our YouTube page.
Do it.
Working Crass Podcast. Okay, moving forward. I have a couple more of these Am I the Assholes from Reddit.
Are these also related to fast food activism?
Nope, we're done with the fast food activism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty
Well, you're never really done with fast food activism. It's really a lifestyle commitment.
Yes,
right?
that is correct. It's life work.
Exactly.
And so if you're out there and you have a fast food restaurant near you, go protest. Find something to protest about and do it.
Even the smallest thing, you can turn that into something protest worthy. That's
the thing about activism is it doesn't really have to be about anything important.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
Really does not. Now, this one, you sent me an article about this one, but it was based on an Am I the Asshole from Reddit. So
really?
I
didn't know that. I just saw the article title, and I was like, oh, that made me laugh.
It was like in an Am I the Asshole post on Reddit. I was like, oh, this is right up our alley. So Am I the asshole for not giving up my plane seat, so a family could all be together? I traveled. Let me read through this. It's hard to read outside, so sorry about that, folks. So I traveled home today from Greece. The flight was roughly 10 hours, and around this time of the year, it's extremely hectic. I booked my ticket specifically to be closer to the front of the plane so I can be closer to the gate when it's time to get out. I personally hate traveling, so I spent a bit more money to be closer.
Hey, I hear you. If I, like, when we fly Southwest,
Yeah.
whenever we, like, because it's open seating, right?
Mm-hmm.
I try and find something closer to the front. I don't like being all the way in the back because I want to get off the dang plane as soon as I can.
I agree. I like to, we check in right away so that way we can get as close to the front as possible.
So already I feel this person, if they've paid, like, money to actually be closer to the front, then
Yeah, that's your seat.
Yeah.
It's absurd to ask them to do anything else. It's almost as absurd as being on a plane and asking somebody to let their kid play with your video game.
It's almost as absurd as Starbucks asking for more money for nut milk.
Absolutely, because that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's just hateful.
It's hateful. It's discriminatory. It's obviously anti-science.
Absolutely. Anti-science and anti-environment.
And anti-free the nipple, I think.
Oh, yeah, because we need to free those little almond nipples.
Exactly.
When I got on the plane, a family of 4 approached me and asked me if I could switch spots. Normally, I'd be okay with that, but switching spots would mean moving back 20 rows down, which leaves me at an inconvenience and I would not be getting my money's worth. I rejected and said that I would like to keep my seat. The woman said that I was being an asshole and I should just give up my seat so she could sit with her husband and kids. Ouch, right in front of her kids, too. I said, respectfully, ma'am, your travel issues are not my problem. I'm keeping the seat I paid for.
Yeah.
She ended up making a scene and basically said, wow, look at this asshole who can't even move seats so a family could sit all together. I said, maybe you should have booked ahead of time or spent more money on tickets so you all could sit together. This is not my issue. Grow up and get over it. I'm not moving seats. End of story. I sat down and her husband apologized for me. Her husband apologized for me for her behavior and said that she hates traveling, but giving her the seat would have made things easier in the end. So am I the asshole for not giving up my seat?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Was the wife who was demanding this person give up their seat, were they hot?
Were they hot?
Were
Was
they
it a hot
attractive?
wife?
If they're a hot wife, then, as we've established, hot wives matter. So
Hot wives matter, and you need to give up your seat for a hot wife.
Exactly.
Now, this sounds like an ugly wife. Sounds like the behavior of an uggo wife.
Yeah, based on, because I'm inferring the tone
Yes.
that this was delivered in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to agree with you there. I think it probably was an uggo.
Likely an uggo? You would say likely an uggo?
Likely
like 90% probably an uggo?
90%. Definitely had one of those, like, haircuts that's kind of spiky in the back.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about?
A Karen. This is a Karen.
Yeah, like a Karen cut. Yeah, probably wearing, like, sweatpants.
I mean, also, if this is one of those airlines where it is like the seats are more expensive toward the front and cheaper towards the back, then this is like going to like a basketball game and going to the front row and being like, excuse me, but I
Would you
would
give
like
up your courtside seats so that my family could sit here and you can sit up in the nosebleeds?
Yeah. It's like, no. No. But I want those seats.
But I'm hot.
But I'm hot.
I'm sexy, bitch.
Oh, geez. That's pretty wild. But I think we agree that if she was ugly, you're not the asshole. If she was hot, you might be an asshole.
Yeah. And honestly, if that wife,
yeah,
if she really wanted to make a stand, she would have encased her feet in concrete and not moved from that section of the plane until she got that seat.
I agree. And if the plane goes down, so what? If the concrete causes the plane to go down, so what? If it was in the pursuit of justice and activism, I say let the plane burn.
Exactly.
Let the whole family burn on the way down.
Yeah.
No, I hope he had a good flight. And I bet, I like that the husband apologized for her behavior.
Although it was a little bit of a backhanded apology.
He's like, giving her the seat would have made it a lot easier. But what he means by that is
for me.
For me, exactly. Now, he's like, hey, if you had given her the seat, I would have less of an earful when I get home, but it is what it is.
That poor guy.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time this has happened.
Oh,
either.
yeah. He's like, hey, sorry about that. Hey, if you would have just given her the seat, I wouldn't be the one getting pegged tonight.
Hey, I'm so sorry about this. My wife is a total bitch when we fly, but...
Hey, sorry you had to deal with that fucking bitch, but next time just do what she says. It'll make it all a lot easier. Oh, man. I know she's an uggo, but just do what she says.
Just do what she says, because her voice is just so shrill and, like...
Oh,
There's
boy.
only so much more I can take before I kill myself.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Now, so let's...
Yeah, so I'm going to say, again, if the wife was an uggo,
Yeah.
not an asshole.
Not an
You did the
asshole.
right thing. If
Yeah.
the wife was hot, you might need to reevaluate yourself. How badly did you need to get home that day?
Absolutely. 100%. Always follow what the hot wives say.
Mm-hmm.
Do what the hot wives tell you to do, and there will be no problems. Disobey the hot wives, and you will have a load of problems on your hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So instead of going to another story here, I want to ask you, when is the first time, and I'll tell my story too, when is the first time you experienced like a red flag as far as like wokeism goes? Like, when is the first time that you...
Like
So
the
I have a
first
story
time
I'll
that I
tell.
noticed like wokeness emerging and maybe
Yes.
taking things too far.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that is a really good question.
And I think everyone has a story like this. I would hope. I mean, some people will have stories about this in the future when they realize far too late. At this point, if you haven't realized that like the wokeness stuff goes too far, you are like, you might not ever notice it at this point. But like my example and my thing was in, I think it was 2016. It was like right when Trump became president.
Mm-hmm.
And we were, I mean, you and I, when we got together, we were watching a lot of Colbert, a lot of John Oliver. You know, we're pretty left-leaning, I think, people overall, sort of.
I don't know. I feel like we've always been kind of just... Well, we look at things on a policy-by-policy basis. I don't
Yeah,
think we really
yeah.
have allegiance to any one side in particular. I think...
Yeah.
At that time, we probably...
We were consuming a lot of leftist media. I'll
we
say
did.
that.
And I think at that time, we probably did lean slightly more liberal.
Mm-hmm.
But like maybe like classically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the idea of like classical liberalism. We leaned
Absolutely.
slightly in that direction, but even then I wouldn't say
Yeah.
we ever like held allegiance to that.
Well, hey, so did those shows for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point when they all kind of changed to like hard left wokeism and like,
Yeah.
So Tina Fey did that thing on SNL. And I was rewatching it earlier today, so I kind of remember like what the details were. But this was right after the Charlottesville thing. And then Tina Fey went on Weekend Update. And I liked Tina Fey a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I read her book, and that was the reason why I like signed up for improv classes in Texas. Which, for anybody who's thinking of, you know, ever signing up for improv classes, don't. And... because that whole community went along with all of those shows that we were watching of just like turning into crazy extremists and just, you know.
Yeah, their brains melting into mush.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was after Charlottesville, and Tina Fey went on Weekend Update, and she had a bunch of jokes about the situation. Some of them were jokes that, like, I could see somebody being upset because this was these were Nazis, marching in the streets. This is so scary. And she used it as an opportunity to tell a few jokes, and they were funny jokes. They were great jokes. And then her overall message, though, and her overall point to the what she was saying was that she brought out like a sheet cake, and she ate a bunch of sheet cake, and she was saying that, when these things happen, it might be best to let these people scream into the void and ignore it. She said, don't show up to these things. Let them scream into the void. Stay at home and eat your cake. And that's how we deal with things. And I agree. I thought that was a very, very reasonable way to deal with the problem, because that's always how we've been dealing with Nazis. And once you become their opposition, like once you start fighting back on them in the way they want you to fight back, right? Once you start showing up at their rallies and opposing them, that's used as recruitment for more Nazis, right? Like, it's like, look at this huge group of people who hates you.
Yeah.
Come join us because they hate you. And here they are. They're right here. They're showing up at our rallies and attacking us. Whereas if you just have a small rally and nobody shows up and nobody cares and we mock them,
right.
Mocking them is the best thing you could do.
Because it delegitimizes their ideas.
Exactly. Showing up legitimizes their ideas, or at least legitimizes their opposition to you, right? The fact that they're saying that this is a group of people that hate you, that's why you need us, and that's why you need to join us.
Well, it's like, we're not going to, the better approach is, we're just not going to take this serious. These people are obviously insane.
They're nut jobs.
And anybody worth their weight in salt is not going to give them the time of day.
Exactly. And so that was Tina Fey's message. And I remember people at the comedy house that we were performing at, and also online, just tearing into her for this opinion. And this was one of the first examples I've ever saw of like the online mob attacking someone. And not only that, attacking someone on the same side as them, who's pretty much making like the same point, is like, these people are bad. There were several jokes in it that aren't exactly my cup of tea, as far as like Trump bashing and Republican bashing. There were several jokes in there that are just like, these people are stupid idiots, stupid redneck morons. And like, I hate that shit. But for what she was doing, it was fine. But their problem with it was, no, we don't stay at home and eat cake. We go punch Nazis. And
we go and encase ourselves in concrete and we stand in front of Nazis until they give up their Nazism.
But then that's the problem, right? Is that if you say punch Nazis or punch every Nazi, and then you say that anybody who's Republican is at least Nazi adjacent because they're okay with these Nazis. So therefore, any Republican is Nazi.
Well, then any Republican is now punch-worthy.
Is now punch-worthy, exactly. And so that was the official mainstream leftist take on it. And so because she didn't fit into that, she got in trouble, and she ended up apologizing later on
Just kidding.
on David Letterman's Netflix show. He said, I remember this piece you did on Weekend Update, and I thought it was so funny, so well written, and so well said. And she told him, actually, you're wrong. She said, actually, you're wrong. I got a lot of feedback on that. What I said was wrong. I wish I would have said...
Actually, David Letterman, you're wrong. I heard from a lot of people who aren't comedians and have never written comedy in their lives how to write comedy, and I really think I should take what they say to heart. And you are a comedian, but you're stupid because you're not listening to those people. But I am, and I'm right, so...
Exactly. So I just thought that was like my first thing that was like, wow, like these... Like, I thought that what she was joking about and the core of what she was saying was the right thing, the right response. And it was the first time I started to see somebody apologizing for saying the right thing and not standing by what they said. Especially people on the left, because for a long time, the left was, opposing the right and sticking by what they said. And now it's like, this was her way of opposing the right-wing extremism. And somebody said, you're doing it wrong. And she goes, yes, I am. You're right. It was just so weird to me. I was like, no, that's the right take. That's the right way to look at this situation. And everybody dogpiled on her and she apologized. And I don't see anything by Tina Fey anymore. I don't think she does much work now. Anyway, that's my first. What about yours?
Well, I think the first is probably when I was getting my master's, and I was getting a master's in journalism.
Yeah.
And
oh boy, so you probably saw it everywhere, huh?
Yeah. But I do specifically remember I was in this class where we were part of the local community's paper. We were put on like a special project where each of us had to tackle a different. At that time, they were doing a piece. It was like different stories about infrastructure problems, and each person in the class was assigned a different, infrastructure issue to tackle. And I remember this one person in the class, they were looking into these new housing developments that were going up in the area. And they came in, they had a draft, and in the draft, they mentioned this one particular family that had been displaced because of the new developments. And I remember specifically the instructor like, well, what's the race of that family? And what's the race of the people who are displacing them? And can you go and talk to them? Like, are they angry? And that person then went and tried to find that, but came back and was like, hey, I talked to them. I don't think it's really like a racial issue. It seems to be something else. And the instructor for this particular course and the head of that newspaper was kind of pushing this person to like, well, turn it into one. Turn that into a story because that's an important issue that we need to be discussing.
So even the family themselves are like, yeah, we don't really have too much of an issue with this.
Well,
and
they
it's
just
not
didn't
really a
really-
racial issue whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, the family they weren't talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
They were, that may be an issue, but it was tangentially related, and it wasn't being brought up in the conversations unless the person interviewing them was really trying to like weed it out.
Mm-hmm. And the professor's like,
yeah,
weed
do that.
it out.
Do
Yeah,
that.
do it.
And it was because the issue of the housing developments themselves was not interesting. What's interesting is how can we turn this into this story that supports our ideological beliefs?
Yeah.
And
How did that open your eyes when you started to like see journalism out in the world after that too?
Well, that incident was one of many during that particular course that one made me not want to stick with journalism at all. It made me disgusted by the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then two, I just stopped trusting any sort of news media. To me, it's like, okay, well, if it's not about finding the facts of the story, and it's about finding the drama and the story, then it's kind of more propaganda than it is like, factual information that people can choose to apply and, interrogate on their own terms.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like that was the first instance of like wokeness kind of emerging in a way that seemed to be counterproductive.
Do you know what year that was?
Let's see. That was maybe, I was getting my master's like 2013, 2014-ish.
So yeah, and you were in the college too, so that was probably like, that was apparently when a lot of that, political correctness kind of started in colleges around 2014, 2015.
I think
maybe even earlier.
I think probably the classes coming up right after mine is when it really started to like emerge on college campuses. Yeah. I think at that point it may have like that was probably the beginning.
Absolutely.
Like it was springing up in little bits.
I remember right before I graduated college, which was 2014. So this was also, I guess, 2014. A professor, and I didn't put any thought to this, so this didn't like register in my head yet until much later. But a professor told us that, hey, we're starting a free speech zone on campus, and it's in this like area by the library, and this is like, if you want, to speak freely, this is the area you can go to do so. And I didn't really think or process that. I was like, oh, cool, it's just like a free speech zone. And then like many years later, I was like, wait a minute, that means that free speech wasn't allowed anywhere but that area on campus. And there's a lot of campuses that do this now. They're like, no, we have free speech in the free speech zone. It's a small circle outside of this building, and you can go over there and speak freely. But in the classroom, no. You're not speaking freely. You're not speaking during classroom discussions on, some of the biggest, issues facing mankind of all time, where you're learning about the world and how to place yourself within the world. No free speech here. Yeah. You can go do that in a little circle.
But you can do free speech in the privacy of your own home.
Yes, exactly.
But even then, you should probably censor yourself.
In the classroom, no place for open discussion. Well, I just found that interesting. And if any of our listeners have a story about the very first time they experienced kind of a red flag from wokeism, I'd be very interested to hear it, and I'd be interested to read them on the podcast. So that'd be a really cool thing. If you have
or
a story
the first time you experienced fast food activism.
Absolutely.
What did you do? How did you...
Fast food injustice.
Yeah. Yeah, both. Your activism and the injustice. Put that in the comments below.
Leave us a comment, and we'll try to read it. What'd you learn today?
I learned that if you're hot, people should give up their plane seats for you. And, hot people should engage in fast food activism because people will listen to them.
Absolutely. I learned that there are nipple finders, and I work all day in the nipple mines, and I find the nipples of the almonds, and I squeeze because I have the tiniest hands. And the nipples are so hard to find. Those nipples. Those almond nipples. And I go home to my family, and my baby wants to be held, and I say, my hands are sore from the nipples. I cannot hold my own baby. Anyway. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.